All right, cool. All right, you guys, let me get this started. Let's see. Okay. So I don't want to take my whole entire screen away from myself. So I'm going to share my screen with you and then we get to go. So I'm excited to be here, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I want you today to kind of focus on how you can go beyond the obvious in whatever imagery that you're creating for your brand so that you get to stand out on social media, in your newsletters, on your website, all of it. So to get started, I just want to tell you a very quick story about me and kind of the why, like why I do what I do. I live in DC, as we talked about. I have an 8-year-old daughter. And I would say I'm almost a DC native because I've been here so long, I can barely remember my life before I moved here. And anyway, before I became a full-time entrepreneur, my job was in government contracting. And that's kind of what I was doing at that time, was I was sort of nurturing my side business along with that. And then I got on a project where I was feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, like end of my rope kind of stuff. I was put on a project that was just sort of very toxic environment. We didn't have the right staff. Everything we did was very manual and process. And there was one moment where I was working into like the wee hours of the morning. At least at this point, it was earlier in the evening. It was probably about 10:30, but this was a constant sort of thing. We were always there very late. And it was probably about 10:30. The branch chief on the client side came to my cubicle and she started yelling at me. And she's saying, when is this going to be done? You know, you said you'd have it on my desk 10 minutes ago. What's wrong with you? Don't you know what you're doing? And in my exhausted state at that moment, I felt my blood pressure rising. And you know how you like, you know, your face starts turning red and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so angry and I want to cry and I want to punch somebody. And that's exactly what I was feeling like. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to punch this lady. And I've never, I promise you, ever punched anybody, but she brought me there to that moment. And at that moment, her boss saw what was going on, thankfully. And she came running down the aisle and she's like, okay. And she told this woman to go back to her office. And she turned to me and she says, Melissa, just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. And I appreciated that, but it didn't take away what I was feeling. And I was feeling like a rat in a trap. And I pretty much completely stopped working on my business because there was literally no time. And I started to think, okay, I'm going to go, if I don't get out of this situation, I might end up in the hospital. And, or worse, who knows? Like my relationship could be over with my husband, you know, whatever. All of these thoughts went through my head. So unfortunately, I still spent another 3 months after that moment at this place trying to make things work. But then finally, a friend of mine said, listen, you got to quit. Like, you have a business. What's wrong with you? Just take that leap of faith, right? And then my husband supported me. He said, yes, I need you home. And so I decided, okay, fine. And I quit that job and I started my business full time. I just jumped right in. And that was 4 years ago. And I'm happy to say I haven't gone backwards and I'm not sitting in that stupid cubicle anymore. And you might be like thinking, what the hell does this have to do with it all with branding? Well, I look back on that moment and I realize that all that stress that I was putting myself through, all of that resistance and everything was due to the fact that I wasn't being my authentic self. I was sitting in a job that wasn't for me anymore. And I was sticking with it for reasons that were just all scarcity mindset stuff, not reality. And the other thing was that I wasn't connecting with that client or really anyone on the client side on a human level. They weren't the people I wanted to work with. But yet there I was trying to help them, right? And then not only that, I wasn't really showing up. Like, I wasn't really being the person that I was meant to be. I was kind of hiding behind this facade of like, oh, I'm an accountant and that's just who I am, which is not true. So what I'm telling you is that I see so many business owners who do these same things in their business. So they're not being authentic. They're not connecting on a human level with the people that they want to reach. And many times they hide behind their company brand. They just don't show up as the face of their business. But I fully believe, and I've seen it happen over and over again, that when you lean into that authentic self, that you, and I know that word is like a thing for people. They're like, well, what the hell does that mean? We'll get into that. But when you do that, you show up for your audience, business becomes more fun and life becomes more fun because you're not pushing anymore. You're just being, and you have such a bigger impact that you can make on the world when you're in that mindset, that place of being. So I'm going to dive in and kind of show you how we're going to do that in a visual way so that you can see how this can work for you and you can see the possibilities. You guys ready for this? Okay. Awesome. All right. So let me just I'm going to have to also be doing my slides at the same time, which is really fun to try and do my notes and my slides. So this is what's coming up. We're going to talk about what a personal brand really is. There's a lot of people thinking that it's a lot of different things. We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to go through what types of images don't represent your personal brand. We're going to show you how you get to dive deeper into what that means for you. And we're going to talk about some elements that I use to help my clients create better image ideas, more creative, more them, more authentic. I'm going to go through a real life case study, and then we're going to do the hot seat time. Okay. And we're going to try to go through this. And I have like move the speech around a little bit to make this more, more efficient for you guys. So let's talk first, what your brand is not. How many of you guys have been like, oh, yeah, my brand is my logo or my colors or my fonts, or you may have thought of that's what a brand means, right? That stuff, all of this stuff on this list, logo, your fonts, your colors, your photos, even your graphics, your videos, your website, all of that stuff, all of that is what we call brand identity. And your brand identity is not the deep elements of your brand. It's taking the deep elements of your brand and communicating them in a visual way so that they connect with the people you're trying to reach. So and I'm telling you, a lot of people go into business and the first thing they think they need is a logo. Well, you can't get a logo until you know this other stuff. You can't figure out the colors till you know this other stuff. So it's the work nobody wants to do because it's not fun or not as fun, right? We're going to make it fun. So let's go to this. Okay. So your brand are these things. Your brand is your why. That means your experiences, your story, your obstacles, why you started your business in the first place. It also is your values. Like, what do you stand for? What will you not tolerate? And it's your mission. Like, what's the big mission for your business and your life? Who do you want to impact? Like, what do you see as this grand reason that you're here and that you actually took that step to create a business? So I don't think anybody created a business just to make money. We do it because there's an inner calling. And what is your vision for making that mission happen? How do you see that happening? In what ways will you help people? And it's also like who do you serve the best? We can serve anybody, right? Anything that we do could probably help just about anybody who has the problem that we're trying to solve. But who do you serve the best? Who like absolutely loves what you do and would hire you all day, every day, 24/7. And then that problem that you solve, like, let's get deeper than the sort of surface level stuff. What's the underlying deep need that your clients feel before they come to you? And last but not least, at least on this list, is what makes you unique. So what about you makes you different from someone else who does a similar thing to you? I understand this can be hard because we often look at our competition and we say, oh my gosh, I don't see how there's anything different from what they do. But here's the hint, you guys. Every single one of us is unique because we all have different experiences, talents, abilities, personalities, lives. Find your uniqueness there, because that's where it is. So it's not whether or not I provide, 50 images to my clients and somebody else provides 75. That's not it. It's not. For me, I've identified that my differences, my uniqueness is that I've been told I capture the true essence of someone, and that because I'm so strategic about my approach to brand photography, that they know exactly how to use my images afterwards. They feel very clear and confident about that. So find that for yourself. What is it? So ultimately, all of these elements taken together create your reputation. That's really what your personal brand is. It's you being so intentional about how you put yourself out there that you get to control your reputation in the marketplace, in social media, with your clients, in whatever way that you have touch points with the world. And when you do that, that's where magic happens, because you start to, instead of push yourself out there, right? You're push, this pushing energy. No, it's a pull. It's an organic, I see that person and oh my gosh, I love what they do, what they say. I want to work with them. That's what it is. And so consider these your foundational elements. And when you have those solid, then that's when you get to do the other stuff, the fun stuff. You get to do the logo and all of the things, the colors, etc. So I want to just go, and I'm just going to be a little bit faster with this because I want to respect our time today. But so I want to go into a few things about what people do with their imagery when it comes to their brand. And I want to show you and tell you why these things don't represent you and could potentially be, make it so that people don't understand who you are and what you're doing. So these are the three things: that headshots, selfies, and stock images that people typically use when they're starting out in business, and even throughout, as they start to grow. And we all do. What I'm going to say is that we all need to have images for our business when we're starting out, and we don't always. I would never tell somebody that you need to go have a brand photo shoot right out of the gate. I'm saying that because when you're just starting out, you have a lot of expenses or investments, let's put it that way, investments to make. And I don't think that your brand, like having a brand photo shoot, is the right one right out of the gate, because you're just figuring your brand out. So why not go get really nice headshots? And then, it's okay to do some selfies here and there, and maybe even just a few stock photos for that website if you got to have that up first. Beyond that, you need time to figure out the stuff I just talked about, and then you'd be ready to start doing a brand photo shoot. Okay. So I want you to know that, and I want you to tell you a little bit more about each one of these. So when it comes to headshots, literally a headshot, people will contact me, you guys, and they'll say, I need new headshots. And they think that the brand photos equals headshots. So I'm only telling you this as a way of giving you some terminology to use when you go out and start looking for a photographer. So a headshot is literally head and shoulders. And what the headshot does for you, it's a visual handshake. It's like when you go to a networking event and you shake someone's hand, or I guess now we do elbows, whatever. And we say, hey, I'm Melissa, nice to meet you. And that is literally all it does. So it doesn't communicate who you really are. It doesn't communicate really your personality. It shows you being smiling and stuff like that, but it doesn't necessarily give much more than that to the person that's seeing that image. You definitely need a headshot. You need it for your social media profiles. You need it for your about page on your website. You need it for business cards if that's what if you want to print them. You need it to speak at an events. Like if you need a speaker bio and a headshot, that's always what they ask for. But that's kind of going to be the limit of what's possible for you with a headshot. Let's talk about selfies. So selfies are super fun. And you might think I have something against selfies. I do not. I think of selfies as useful in a couple of ways. One, creating on the fly content. Something happens in your world and it's relevant for your audience. And you decide, I got to take a photo right now. Or hey, we do Instagram. So there's reels and there's stories and all those things. Yes, definitely do that. It's a way of capturing the candid moments that allow you to start talking about what you do best, or connecting that moment with something that's a teachable moment for your audience, right? So it does develop your expert status in the online space. So I would just say be strategic. Like, yes, we can do candids there, but decide in advance and this kind of goes along with like creating your content strategy and things like that, but decide in advance what you feel comfortable sharing with your audience, like how much of you in your real world you feel comfortable sharing. And then also decide what is going to be the point of it. So if you're going to create some of these selfies and create content with it, figure out what your themes of your content are, and then go and create those images, rather than just, I'm sitting in my car, right, with my seatbelt across my lap, across my shoulder, like, and I'm taking the selfie, and then I'm going to talk about something that doesn't really connect. That's just I can't tell you how many car selfies I'm tired of seeing them actually. But what you're trying to do here is remind yourself that I'm creating a higher level service. I am standing out as a thought leader. So how do I want to show up even if I'm doing selfies, right? And so then let's talk a little bit about stock photos. I know that we all need to use them, as I said, mostly when we're getting started, and sometimes really just, you don't have what you need and you just need to do this. That's fine. But the thing about stock photos is that, you're not in them. Okay. These are models, or sometimes no people at all. And literally nobody's going to connect with you as a person through your stock photos. It's generic. And it does actually have a subconscious effect on the audience, where they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even really know what she looks like. Erin and I were talking about this actually before we got on the call today, about like, if somebody doesn't show up, you're just like, why should I even connect with you? Because I don't even know who you are. If I don't trust you, I automatically don't trust you. That's not good. They're not your brand too, because they don't tie in with what we just talked about, the values and your why and your mission and all of those things. They haven't been created specifically to connect with that. And this is crazy, but everyone else is using the same images you do. And you might be like, no, there's millions of stock photos out there, but my goodness, every time I see, like, I'll look at somebody's website, I'll see the same image on someone else's site, because we're all kind of, getting attracted to some of those same images. And I'm going to show you in the next slide here how you will be able to tell that. And it's pretty crazy when people go here. So I have this resource for you. It's a website called TinEye, TINEYE.com. And what you can do is you can go to your website, or maybe you wrote a blog post and used a stock image, or whatever. Even if you use them in Canva to create something like a graphic for Instagram or something, right click on the image that you use in social media or wherever, so, and copy that image address to this website in that space that says paste or enter image URL. Okay. When you do that, you're going to find some crazy stuff. Whoops, I missed that one. Wow, oh, sorry, it's right here. So you can see for this particular image that's shown right there with the like coffee mug and the people and the computer, 11,328 results for that image. So that's that's how many websites or places on the internet that image can be found. And so now you know automatically, nobody's like, everybody sees that it's generic. So let's then talk about what can you do instead? How can you create these images? This is what you came for today. So I can see some of you writing. So if you haven't started writing yet, grab your notebook, grab your pen. We're going to walk through some things that you're going to be doing and brainstorming. Okay. So here we go. What's your why? We talked about this earlier. I want you guys to write this down right now. And the reason I want you to do this is because we're going to later, when I start hot seating you, and we're going to talk about like, this is just the foundational stuff, but we're going to talk about how we create those unique ideas. You're going to need to be able to refer back to this. So if you can put down in just a few words, what's your why, you get to do this later on as when we end the call, you can go back and flesh all of this out. So I'll give you just a second. Okay. Hopefully we've got just a few things down there about why we're doing what we're doing. Okay. What are, let's say, your top 3 core values? And I mean your values in life. Okay. You guys want just a little bit more time? You good? Okay. And what is your big vision for your business? Might take you a little bit longer on this one, but think about it. What impact do you want to make on the world? Okay. And this next one, who most benefits from what you do? This is going to get into some deeper stuff here. I want you to think about psychographics. And if you aren't familiar with what psychographics are, they are the things that are like the emotional, mental things that describe your ideal client. So what do they struggle with? What are what's their personality like? What habits do they have? What rituals, like, what does that all look like for them? And if you just get a few things down, I think that'll be fine for now. Okay. And this last thing is what we talked about this earlier. What makes you unique? What's your special sauce? Like, why should people choose you? And if that's even one other thing you can think of is, if that's hard, is what makes you perfect for those that you can help the most. Okay. You guys feel good? We can go on? Okay. Okay. So I'm so glad that we took that time to do this, because now we're going to get into some of the fun stuff. And so that what you just wrote down gives you that frame of reference, that mindset to be looking now at some ways that we can start being more creative using those foundational elements. So this is what I do with my clients. Okay. We start looking at, once we have that information, we start looking at story, connection. And when we do that, what I actually have determined through working with my clients is that I kind of have 4 areas. I call them my 4 pillars. So we're going to go into them in detail, but I'll tell you what they are. They are emotions, habits, routines, and rituals, personality and personal life, and conceptual imagery. So let's go into what this looks like. So for emotions are, what does it feel like to work with you? What's the transformation that occurs for your clients after they work with you? Like, what is it that they feel once they've accomplished that amazing result? Is it excited? Is it thrilled? Is it calm? Is it peaceful? What is that feeling? And then habits, routines, and rituals. What do you do behind the scenes in your business? Believe it or not, people love that. They love to get a little peek behind the curtain, see how you do what you do. What are habits, routines, or rituals that are part of your life? So I'm talking about like activities, things that you do on a daily or weekly basis, whatever it is, that have a connection point with your audience. It could be something that you want to teach them. So maybe it's a habit or routine or whatever that you consistently teach your clients, or provide for them. Or it's something that is a way of connection. Like, for example, maybe you have a daily habit of meditation or something, and that is something that would connect very deeply with the type of people you're trying to attract. Okay, shouldn't say trying, the type of people you get to attract. And then the third one, the personality and personal life. It's also about personal relationships. So maybe you're mom of 5 kids, and that's like a big deal, right? So you want to be able to connect with people on that level. Or you have fur babies, or you're a single parent, or whatever that might be. That might be a touch point with the audience that you want to connect with. And what is your personality like? Are you like a risk taker? Like, do you like to jump out of airplanes? Or are you somebody who feels more comfortable sitting on a couch reading a good book? That would be me. I don't think I'll ever be jumping out of an airplane anytime soon. Are you like the life of the party? Or do you just want to hang out with your friends and with one person at a time, that kind of thing? And then this next thing is conceptual images. What do you talk about in your content? So what are like sort of the themes or concepts or, discussion points, things that you create for content? An example could be like, maybe if you are a leadership coach, like Phyllis, she wants to, help entrepreneurs. And so maybe she might talk about like what gives you, like when you become an entrepreneur, you want to feel free. So how do I help you feel free? Like, what does it feel like to be free and be an entrepreneur? So could be like, I'm on the edge of a boat and I'm like, putting my arms and the wind is in my hair, or maybe I'm jumping off of a rock, or I'm running through a meadow, whatever is like speaks to you is where that freedom imagery comes from. And those are the images that you'll get to use to pair with your content that you start to create. And one other thing that I think is kind of fun too, and it doesn't happen all the time, but if there's a common catchphrase that you use, it could be something like, let's kick that habit to the curb, or let's jump in with both feet. You saw that image before of the woman throwing the book out. That was throwing the rule book out. That was what she always tells her clients. So you can come up with imagery that will speak to that catchphrase that people recognize you for. So I want to show you a little case study before we get into the hot seat time. This is my client, Ashley Bernardi. Ashley is a PR expert. She is the founder of Nardi Media. And what she does is she helps her clients become New York Times bestselling authors by getting them great media placements. Ashley's also developing a personal brand alongside Nardi Media because she's an author herself. In fact, she just released her new book. And her book is about healing from trauma because she's had two very traumatic experiences in her lifetime. And so she's created a way to help herself through that. And then she wants to teach others to do the same. So when we planned her session, we knew we're going to need to come up with ideas for both of those things. So both for the company and for her personally. So the first thing we did, starting with those pillars that we just talked about, what does it feel like to work with Ashley? So when she and I talked about that, we needed to get into that real emotion. So when Ashley's clients get those amazing media placements, they want to celebrate. So you have that image on the left there of the celebration happening. And oh my gosh, how fun is this when this happens for you? And when you get in the media and you start to see your business just catapult because of it. Down in the bottom there, she helps her clients with media training. So we had her, training a client through what it was going to feel like to be on television. We also had her working with the client, looking at a calendar there and planning out how they were going to create this together. And that's actually a real client there. So this gets to be all very authentic. Okay. So the next section here that we created is on habits, routines, and rituals. Okay. This is a bit of a mixture here, but this is a little bit more on the personal side, and it has to do with her book and what she's teaching people. But she wants to share with her audience that for her life, she focuses on plant-based eating. That's been a very big thing for her. It's been a big breakthrough for her in terms of her own healing. She does do journaling to clear her thoughts. So she's got a favorite spot in her yard that we used to have her do some of her journaling. She practices meditation regularly. So these are all aspects of things that she discusses in her book. So going on to the personal life, Ashley is a mom of 3 girls. She lives in sort of a semi-rural place in Virginia. And nature is a big part of her life, and it actually grounds her. And she does believe that family is first. So that's, in fact, why she started her business. That was one of her whys. We talked about that earlier, foundational thing. So what we did here was we said, okay, well, let's bring your world, into these photos. So we had, we went out to her vegetable garden, and she had a blueberry bush, and it was harvest time at that time of year. So we were picking blueberries together. And then she talked about what she likes to do with her kids. She likes to, for them to eat healthy. So we did a smoothie making session here. So they got to take the blueberries from the garden and actually create a yummy smoothie together. So this is a super fun way to showcase that. Excuse me. And what that does is that's going to connect with the audience she wants to attract, those people who are parents also. So they're going to get it. The last part here is her concept images. This is just a few examples of what we created. So she has within her book, she talks about the fact that we all wear masks and that we need to take the mask off in order to really get to the heart of what is hurting us and get to the heart of the trauma. So it's like, we hide away, right? And so we created that image of her with that mask in front, and we even had another one where she's taking it off. The middle image here is more about Nardi Media, and this is like helping her clients get their message out into the world. So it was like this message in a bottle. If you just take it out and you open it up, you give that message to the world, and it has a bigger impact. And then on the far right there, you can see that we also had, I wanted her to have something that she could use in social media to discuss her book. And that number 4 is her 4-part framework. So she created a 4-part framework. So that was the reason for that image. So you can kind of see how that all ties together with the concepts that she's going to be talking about in social media and in her book, etc. So I want to take a pause here, and I just want to get a reading from you guys. And you can come off mute if you'd like. Just let me know, are you feeling like you're starting to get some ideas here? Are you feeling like this makes sense? What do you think? Anyone want to come off and just speak to what we've gone over so far?
It makes sense. There's a lot of things I'm not doing that I should be doing. So yeah.
What do you like? Tell me one thing that's landing for you.
Well, like you said, behind the scenes, shared activity and personality. When I do have a customer and stuff, I'm not the greatest on following up and seeing, I always ask and make sure that they like what they get, but then I just leave it at that and I don't follow up later. And so I'm starting to do that a lot more, where I reach out to them like the next month and I'm like, just wanted to reach out and just say hi, make sure everything's doing okay. Just want to make sure you're okay, because just showing that you care is just so, people just don't realize that, that you just show that you care. It's
Absolutely.
It's just wonderful.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm not doing a lot of it, but I am, and not making excuses, but I'm by myself. I'm the only one that does all the work and stuff. And so I need to get more focused on staying scheduled.
Yeah, that's good. And we can talk a little bit later about that too.
Okay.
What might serve you with that.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And so Erin, I feel like Heather came on too, but Erin, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I just want to build on that, Christy. I think that there's another way that you can engage with your clients after you said, they receive whatever it is that you've printed, inked, created, which is, hey, if that worked for you, are there other things that you're looking to do? Are there other campaigns or anything that I can help you with? And I see you with a heart, like that you love doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Now, would that be like too pushy of a salesperson? Because I'm so not a pushy salesperson. That's probably where I lose a lot of business, is because I don't push people.
Well, Christy, it's not about push. It's about serving.
Okay.
It's about serving. Yeah.
And
here, think about this. I think about this in a way, and this actually could be a great image opportunity for you too. What if you walk somebody all the way to the edge of this cliff, right? And then you just push them off without a parachute. Because you just walked them to the edge of a cliff, right? You got them that far. And then you're like, oh, well, you get to go figure it out on your own. Bye. See ya. I only get to help you this much. No. You get to help them this much. What's the big impact that you said you're going to have on the world? Just think about serving.
Okay.
Do you want to be on the hot seat, Christy? Do you want to do a hot seat?
No, thank you.
Okay. Heather, I saw you pop on here. Do you want to come on and say something? I would love to have one or two of you to do some brainstorming with.
Yeah, so I think for me, I don't have a brand yet. I'm just kind of like starting out. I've never really worked on that. So I'm starting at, square one.
Yeah.
So really good for me to do that exercise where we talked about like what was our core values, our visions, our benefits, and then emotions and habits. I've just been kind of writing some of this stuff down. So I'm really at square one, but it's been good because I feel like I kind of am getting an idea of where I want to begin and what kind of like about building my brand.
Mm,
What sets me out from other real estate attorneys.
hmm
So particularly emotions, like how do I make clients feel? And that one really hit me
mm,
because I want like our the brand of the firm, and then kind of my brand is like we want to be the real estate agent's best friend. We want to make their life easier.
hmm
So that emotions really, I started writing down like what do I want to make them feel like comfortable, at ease.
Yes.
Yeah. Like they have a friend, like they have somebody that's going to help them out. Those
Mm,
types of feelings, those are what I want to invoke. Um,
supportive.
yeah, supportive,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. I've got your back.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. That's good. I will tell you a couple of things that is landing for me of what you're saying is that you say you don't have a brand, and you do. We all, so the term brand is a little bit wonky, right? Because we think of brand as being something that's like manufactured or something that's like created, in this like very rigid way. But really, we all have a reputation. You already have a reputation, right? All you get to do here is figure out how you make it, like you get to control it more. So you get to put like basically say, these are all the things about me, and I want you to know about them because I know I can help you, person that I can help the best. Right. So in your business, in what you have been doing with this company, you already have a reputation. Let's just figure out how you get to hone it.
Okay.
So like, what were some, do you want to do a little bit of brainstorming?
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so tell me with these, so the emotions about with the real estate agents, you're there to support them, you've got their back. Tell me a little bit more about like what who do you help the best in terms of real estate agents? Is like, can we dive deeper there, or really is this just anybody?
Absolutely. So what
Okay.
we do specifically at our firm is that we have a large support staff, and they are there to um, take the position of the transaction coordinator, which the real estate agent would usually have to pay a referral, a fee out of their commission.
Okay.
So that's kind of our incentive, is that we can offer you what the transaction coordinator would offer you, but you
Okay.
won't have to pay it out of your commission.
Oh, okay. So you help them save money.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh my God. So, well, money's funny. Money is funny and money is fun. um, so I often think of like things like that you could create. And actually let me take a step back, because I don't want to talk about like the mechanics quite yet. Tell me where you are allowed to be online, because I know sometimes when you're working for a larger company, they have some restrictions and things like that, particularly in the law space. So tell me where what you're allowed to do.
So my boss, he recommended that I turn my Facebook and Instagram pages from personal pages into business pages. So
Okay.
that's what I've done. So I've like purged all the, stuff that's not necessarily clients don't need to see.
Okay.
Made those pages strictly my business pages, because that's already where a lot of my network already was.
Okay.
And then LinkedIn. So those are kind of my three areas. And then we have a blog on the website, which I'm going to be writing blog posts for.
All right. But are you allowed to be, so if you're on those spaces, LinkedIn, you've got your other social media that you can create as business pages. So they're giving you a little bit more of a wide opportunity to be on social media yourself. Yes.
Right.
Fantastic. Yep. Okay. So if that's the case and they don't have significant restrictions there, then I think you can actually really start setting yourself apart from the other attorneys in the office by being more on social media and connecting with those real estate agents. So what we get to do is figure out, well, what emotions do those real estate agents have? So what do they have before they start working with you? Like, why do they come to you? You specifically, not your company.
Frustration.
I'm sorry.
Frustration. They're sick of losing their, a gigantic portion of their commission.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Frustration because they wind up doing more legal work than they expect. So Heather, I'm speaking for the realtor in our chapter.
So this is good.
But I've heard from her,
Yes.
right? Like, what are the other things?
I think that I know personally, one thing I see with the real estate agents is that they're on the road all day. So they're not they're not usually available until the evening to usually respond back to emails. So the communication with them is difficult because the nature of the business is on the road.
Mm-hmm. So do you make it easy for them? Are you saving them time? You're saving them time. You're saving them money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Saving
Time, saving money. What comes up for me is like, like think of all the money references that you see, but it could be just as easy as like opening up your wallet and saying, like, look at all the money that I've saved or that I've saved my clients, or, you working with a client, like you could bring in someone to serve as one of your real estate agent clients, and you can have that sort of moment where you've got your arm around them saying, I support you, or you're holding their hand and they're going, yes, like this is amazing. And I know that some of that can be a little hokey, but it really does translate visually to people, that emotion. So think about what really resonates with you. So it could be that the saving time, like an image of you like looking at your watch and being like, oh my God, I'm late, or whatever, that, and then that you can create content related to that conceptual image. Right. But I even think of things like you with someone else where you're hugging them, like, and that we have to then dive back into some of the initial things we talked about in your foundation. But if those real estate agents that you're working with have like if they're residential real estate agents, I know a lot of real estate agents, and they're all like their personalities are at least the ones I know, they're very warm and they're very friendly and they're very like open, and and lots of them are extroverted because they kind of need to be and all that kind of stuff. So how do you appeal to someone like that? What kind of imagery do you think would appeal to them? And to me, it's going to be very human centric.
Yes.
It's going to be very like high-fiving and hugging and, supportive. The supportive thing, I've got your back, is just the arm around, like, hey, I've got you. We can do this together. Do you see what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
I've done a lot of really fun money stuff just for all of you guys. If money kind of factors in, there's lots of fun things you can do with money. And this is just kind of going into the mechanics of it, but I got this fake money off of Amazon. And so what we did one time was we had a fan blowing on my client and money was just like flying at her. So it was super fun. We have another client where she just was opening her wallet. See how much money I saved today? And the money's just kind of coming out. And so things like that could really appeal to somebody. And yeah, it does hit you over the head a little bit. But if somebody's scrolling and they see you holding a wallet full of money, how much more interesting is that than just a selfie? Because they see your, I can't tell you how many selfies I pass by because I'm just trying to get through and see who I need to comment on in terms of what they're doing. So, so hopefully that serves. I'm trying to think too about what about habits and rituals for you? What do you do yourself that might connect, or what do you do for them behind the scenes that they may want to know about?
So I think this is when speaking with the real estate agent in our chapter, one of the things that we touched base on was, so she said she uses an older gentleman that's a real estate attorney, and he's very like, detailed orientated, and that's great. But the real estate agent's main concern is making sure that the deal goes through, not finding things that, you know, obviously if there's a major issue, you want to look into it and you want to have a solution. But she, you know, we were talking about like our firm's very solution based and we want to make the transaction close. That's our goal. It's not to get bogged down.
Easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh, hit the
easy
easy
button.
button. Hit the easy button. Yes, there's one there.
Exactly. So we
Yes.
don't get bogged down in the legalese. I mean, if somebody says something different and it means what we want it to mean, but it's said differently, we're not gonna die on that hill.
Yeah.
We're just, as long as our client gets what they want and, you know, the transaction closes, that's what we want to do.
So I see this, it just popped in my head. So I see this like image of you like holding, like, what is the document that, I mean, are we just talking about like a signed, like
Purchase and sale agreement.
yeah, is that what it is that we're talking
Yeah.
about? So you could just say like, you don't have to use a real one, but you could just have a purchase and sale agreement, and you could just like on a, you know, on a stack of papers that look like because I've had to sign those. I know it's just ginormous, right? So,
Yeah.
but you could have that, like that big stack, and on the top it just says like a big stamp that says done, or like, you know, signed or whatever, right? And you're just like holding that, like, look, see, like this is what we do for you. None of that other BS. This is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I think we need to focus more on that. Just the fact that-
Transformation.
yeah.
Real quick, can
Melissa?
I say something?
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are realtors, and there is one that sticks out to me because they are personal. They will get to know the clients, to know their birthday, their anniversary,
Yeah.
their kids' birthdays, and they will send them a card for each person that's in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, and this is my friend, and she's bought 4 houses this year for real estate properties, you know, to rent. And she said, I will always go through her because of the fact she shows that she cares.
Yes. So what's the personal touch?
Just sending out thank you or Christmas cards or birthday cards or thank you cards.
I love it. I love it.
Something simple.
Yes. Heather, do you guys do any of that kind of thing, that kind of outreach to real estate agents? They're always, see, I feel real estate agents are big supporters. Typically their personality is very supporter like, and often they don't, when you have a supporter, they don't often feel support from others because they're always the one supporting everyone else.
Yeah.
So what can you do to help them feel supported? How can you meet them that way? So if there's something that you guys do to do that for them, other than have their back, I mean, that's obviously what your firm does, but what's going the extra mile? Can you show that in imagery?
Yeah. And imagery.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can help you with that part, but what is it that you guys do to help them feel supported besides just the thing? Like, what's the extra little something that keeps them coming back?
So I know that recently we had a like a boxing day at a local gym where we did like a boxing class and we invited all of our clients, and we and then afterwards we like mingled at a restaurant. So we did that, and we do send cards.
Mm-hmm.
We try to like, if somebody say like a loan officer contacts us and they have a person that's looking for a house, we'll connect them with the real estate agent. So we also try to refer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I feel
building,
like, go ahead.
Bye, Kathy. You're building relationships and you're building a community around your realtors.
Yes.
And a community is really important because these are people who are on their own islands.
Yes.
That's so good.
That is really good.
That's so good. And when I think of community, I think of, I actually had this idea for a recent client. As a matter of fact, 2 ideas for her. One was like a paper doll chain, you know, remember the paper dolls or whatever. So there's like, this is our community. Or it could be like, I was even thinking like little dolls. I don't know. The only thing that comes to mind right now is just because my daughter loves LOLs. So I'm thinking those little LOL dolls and having them all together. And like, maybe you're just holding a bunch of them, like we create community, like you're holding that representation of it. But you can use real humans too. So bring them in. That boxing class was an amazing thing. I hope you guys got photos of that.
Yes.
Yes, that's so good, because then people get to see like how you care for your clients, how you want to support them. And hey, you can also use one of those images to say, you know, that day when you feel like punching, you know, the wall because God, tell me guys again, what's it called at the end? Purchase and sale agreement. Because your purchase and sale agreement got hung up, and you know, you're like, it's taking forever to close on this property. Yeah, we don't do that.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
You
gosh,
see what I mean?
can we
Like,
help you get your frustration out?
yes. Or
Yeah.
it's just that you don't even have that frustration because it doesn't happen here. So use those images for that. If you got any of those, like them punching the punching bag. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Should I stop recording, Melissa?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, yes, you can. Absolutely. That's fine.
Sorry, Heather,